Good morning, kids. So today we're gonna study locating places on Earth. So this is our chapter 8, and as we know that this chapter is also a part of our examination, so we're gonna start reading it. Locating places on Earth. So what are we gonna read in this chapter is we will learn about latitudes and longitudes, and we will also learn how to calculate time and locate places on the Earth. Okay, so you must have seen on a globe that there are some lines running from north to south and east to west on a globe. So what do you think these lines are? So as you can see in the image, we have so many lines running from north to south and east to west. So these are our imaginary lines, which are known as latitude and longitude. And why do we use these lines? We use these imaginary lines to find the exact location of a place on a map or on a globe. And these imaginary lines are lines of latitude and longitude. Now you must be thinking, what is latitude and which one is longitude? So the one which goes from here to here are latitude, and the one which goes from here to here are longitude. So all the lines which are going north to south are latitude, and all the lines which are going east to west, these east to west, all these lines are longitude or latitude. Alright, so we'll read about latitudes here. Latitudes are the imaginary lines that run from east to west. They encircle the Earth horizontally. These lines are parallel and lie at an equal distance from one another. Hence, these are also known as parallel lines of latitude. The length of latitude increases as we move away from the poles, and towards the center of the Earth there are 181 lines of latitude. So this is very important, kids. 181 lines of latitude. So if the question comes that how many lines of latitudes are there, so you have to say 181, and these lines are all parallel to each other. It means that they will never intersect each other, they will never cross each other. Okay, we'll move further. The latitude which divides the Earth exactly at the center is the longest. So the one which is in the middle of the Earth is the longest latitude, and that latitude is known as equator. So it is already highlighted, equator. So we have to remember this, we have to have this on our fingertips. The longest latitude is equator. The equator divides the Earth into two equal halves or hemisphere. So the two equal halves and hemisphere is the same thing. So the equator, what it does is it is dividing the Earth in two equal parts. Okay, let's move further. The hemisphere above the equator is known as northern hemisphere, and the one below is called southern hemisphere. So it's obviously, if you have a ball and if you cut the ball in two halves, the upper portion would be known as northern hemisphere and the lower portion would be known as southern hemisphere. So the same is done by equator. Equator is dividing the Earth in two parts. The upper part is northern hemisphere and the lower part is southern hemisphere. The two flattened ends of the Earth towards north and south are called North Pole and South Pole respectively. So on the top we have one end and on the bottom we have one end. So here I'll show you the North Pole and the South Pole. So you are looking at the globe here, and on top the flattened end shows 90° north, that is your North Pole, and then on the bottom you have 90° south, that is your South Pole. So lines of latitudes are labeled in degrees. So anything which is above the equator is north. So we have 1 degree north, 2 degree north, and so on. And the latitudes southwards from the equator are marked as 1 degree south, 2 degree south, and so on. So anything below the equator is written in south. So the latitude of the North Pole is 90°, which we already discussed, and the latitude of the South Pole is 90° south. The equator is the 0° latitude, which is in the middle. And here are the 5 important latitudes. Equator is at 0°, Tropic of Cancer at 23.5 north, Tropic of Capricorn is 23.5 degree south, Arctic Circle is 66.5 degree north, Antarctic Circle is 66.5 degree south. The Tropic of Cancer passes through India. So you have to remember that Tropic of Cancer passes through India. This can be a question. Now longitude. So longitude are the imaginary lines that runs from the North Pole to South Pole. It means vertical lines. Unlike latitudes, these lines are not parallel to each other. So we just read that latitudes are parallel to each other, means they will not cross. But this is not the case with longitude. Longitude are not parallel to each other. They are all of the same length. All longitudes meet at the poles, widen on reaching the equator. It means that all the latitudes are meeting at the poles, but when they are reaching the equator, it is widening, as it is the earth is bulged in the middle, so it's widening in the while reaching the equator in the middle. Longitudes are important indicators of time, so they are also known as meridians. So they are the indicator of times. Like we have different time zones like India time, then we have American time, we have Europe time. So why this time is different? Because we have these longitudes, which are also known as meridians. So we are going to study about it subsequently. The time meridian passes through the Royal Observatory at Greenwich near South London is called the prime meridian. So the prime meridian is fixed, which passes through Royal Observatory at Greenwich, which is near South London. The prime meridian is zero meridian. So that is at the 0° longitude, so it is known as zero meridian. Lines of longitude located to the east of prime meridian are indicated with degree east, and those located to the west are indicated with degree west. So anything which is east of prime meridian is degree east, and anything which is west of prime meridian is degree west. The prime meridian divides the earth into two hemispheres. So the prime meridian is also dividing it into two hemispheres, which is eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. In each hemisphere there are 180 lines of longitudes numbered from 0 to 180. These are 360 in total. So we are having two halves, eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere, and one half has 180 lines, 180 lines. So when we make it together, there are total 360. So longitudes are 360 in total and latitudes are 181 in number. Another important meridian is the international date line at 180° longitude. The international date line marks the difference of date between eastern and western hemisphere. So there is an international date line which is at 180° longitude, which makes the difference between the date in these two hemispheres. Now we have locating places. So latitudes and longitudes form a network that is called as grid. The grid helps us to accurately locate places on the maps and globes. To locate a place on a map or a globe, we must know the degrees of the latitude and longitude. We can find the exact position of the place at the point where these two lines cross each other. For example, New Delhi lies at 29 degree north and 77 degree east. So calculating time, longitude helps in calculating time. The time difference between two consecutive longitudes is of 4 minutes. So we have to remember that one after the other longitude, the time difference is 4 minutes from one longitude to another longitude. When we travel eastwards from the prime meridian, we need to add 4 minutes on passing each meridian. It means if we are moving towards the eastern direction from the prime meridian, we have to add 4 minutes to each meridian in the time. When we travel westward in the prime meridian, we need to subtract 4 minutes as we pass each meridian, and when we are moving westwards, we have to subtract 4 minutes in the time. The moment we cross to the east of the international date line, we gain or add a day. So when we cross the east of the international date line, we have to add 1 day, means we gain 1 day. Similarly, when we cross to the west of the international date line, we lose 1 day or we subtract 1 day. So let us understand with the help of an example. The current time at the meridian, the prime meridian, is 12 noon. Location A is 4 degree east longitude and location B is at 4 degree west longitude. Then the time at the location A will be 12:16 p.m. and the time at the location B will be 11:44 a.m. So what is happening there? When A is the location of the A is at 4 degree east, means it is in the east side of the prime meridian, whereas B is in the 4 degree west side of the prime meridian. So here is the difference, that A will be at 12:16 p.m. and B will be at 11:44 a.m. And where are we getting this difference from? Because it is 12 noon at the prime meridian. Okay. So we have this, think about it, Christmas is a summer festival in Australia. And why do you think this is? So we know that generally when we think about Christmas, we see the Santa Claus is coming on the reindeer and it's winter there. But that is the major festival in the western country. But Australia's location is such that when it is winter there in the western countries, it's summer in Australia. So it's a summer festival for Australians. However, for others, it's a winter festival. And in the next video, we will have the exercises for this. The exercise at the back of this chapter, we will be doing all those questions in the next video.